An absolute hurricane of internal fury has completely engulfed the Los Angeles Dodgers organization, transforming what should have been a triumphant, historic victory into a scene of chaotic physical violence, sudden roster demotions, and a deep locker room schism that has left the baseball world in complete shock. The Dodgers had just fought through an exhausting, high-intensity battle that culminated in a dramatic, heart-stopping walk-off hit in the bottom of the 11th inning, securing a hard-fought victory that should have been celebrated as a testament to the team's resilience. However, the moment the players crossed the threshold from the field into the private confines of the locker room, the celebratory atmosphere instantly evaporated, replaced by a toxic cloud of resentment, shouting, and an immediate physical brawl between rookie standout catcher Dalton Rushing and high-profile relief pitcher Tanner Scott. The violence erupted with such suddenness and intensity that multiple teammates and coaches had to physically intervene, dragging the two players apart as equipment bags were thrown and punches flew in the center of the clubhouse. The corporate reaction from upper management was instantaneous and unforgiving, as the front office immediately stepped in to announce that Scott was being stripped of his roster spot and sent down to the minor leagues without hesitation. In the direct aftermath of this explosive disciplinary action, a defiant Dalton Rushing broke his silence to the media, exposing the shocking, underlying cause of the physical confrontation that had actually started building an inning earlier during a deeply mismanaged 10th frame. Compounding the media frenzy surrounding this franchise crisis, confidential reports have leaked revealing the exact, powerful words that global superstar Shohei Ohtani delivered directly to Rushing in the dugout just moments before the final play. Words that are now making headlines across the sports world and shedding light on the immense psychological pressure building within this championship roster. To fully understand the structural collapse of the team's internal unity on this fateful night, we must dissect the high-stakes progression of the game itself, which pushed every single player to their absolute emotional limits. The Dodgers had entered the late frames of the contest with what appeared to be a comfortable and commanding 3-run lead, an advantage that should have easily been locked down by a professional bullpen looking to secure an easy victory. Manager Dave Roberts made the strategic decision to call upon Tanner Scott, a reliever brought in specifically to dominate high-leverage situations and shut down opposing offenses with his signature high-velocity fastballs and sharp breaking pitches. Instead of an efficient, dominant performance, what unfolded on the diamond was a complete technical collapse, as Scott completely lost his command from his very first pitch, struggling to find the strike zone and falling behind on every single batter he faced. The opposing offense immediately sensed the pitcher's vulnerability, capitalizing on his erratic location by executing selective plate discipline, drawing consecutive walks, and putting immense pressure on the defensive unit. Rushing, working tirelessly behind the plate as the starting catcher, repeatedly attempted to settle his pitcher down, calling for specific pitch sequences designed to exploit the batter's weaknesses and escape the mounting jam. Scott, however, continuously shook off his catcher's signs, relying blindly on his fastball despite his clear lack of control, a stubborn choice that proved to be absolutely fatal as the opposing hitters dialed in on the predictable pitch selection. With the bases loaded and the stadium holding its breath, Scott surrendered a devastating, bases-clearing double deep into the outfield gap, allowing 3 runs to cross home plate in rapid succession and instantly erasing the Dodgers' hard-earned lead. The shock of blowing a 3-run cushion in such a careless manner sent a wave of visible frustration through the entire defensive alignment, with players exchanging bewildered looks as the game was forced into agonizing extra innings. The physical strain on the roster grew exponentially as the match pushed past the 10th inning and into the 11th, forcing both teams into a tactical war of attrition where a single mental mistake would result in an immediate defeat. Rushing found himself carrying an immense physical and mental burden, not only managing an increasingly stressed pitching staff, but also realizing that he would need to deliver a heroic performance at the plate to salvage the game from the bullpen's failure. When the bottom of the 11th inning finally arrived, the tension inside the stadium had reached a boiling point, with fans standing on their feet and the dugout leaning over the railings in absolute anticipation. With a runner stationed at third base and the opposing defense drawing their infield in to prevent a run at all costs, Rushing stepped into the batter's box with absolute focus, blocking out the noise of the crowd and looking for a specific pitch to drive. On a 2-ball, 1-strike count, the rookie catcher perfectly anticipated a low slider, extending his arms and lacing a sharp, clean single past the diving shortstop to score the winning run and deliver a dramatic walk-off victory. The field erupted into absolute pandemonium as teammates rushed out of the dugout to mob Rushing at first base, tearing at his jersey and dousing him in water as the scoreboard flashed the final triumphant numbers. Yet, underneath the chaotic on-field celebrations, a dangerous undercurrent of anger was brewing, as several players remained deeply furious about the reckless pitching performance that had put the entire team in jeopardy in the first place. While Rushing smiled for the stadium cameras and completed his mandatory post-game field interviews, Tanner Scott had already walked off the diamond in silence, retreating to the locker room ahead of his teammates with an attitude that many perceived as defensive and completely unrepentant. When Rushing finally entered the clubhouse, still covered in ice water and breathing heavily from the physical exertion of an 11-inning game, he walked directly toward Scott's locker to address the breakdown in communication that had occurred on the mound. According to eyewitness accounts from team personnel, Rushing calmly but firmly asked Scott why he had consistently ignored the game plan and refused to throw the breaking balls that had been specifically pre-certified by the coaching staff during the pregame meetings. Scott, already feeling the immense psychological weight of his failure and sensing the judgment of the entire room, responded with immediate hostility, standing up and aggressively shouting in the rookie catcher's face, telling him to mind his own business and stop lecturing a veteran pitcher. The verbal exchange escalated at an alarming rate, with Scott taking a step forward and physically shoving Rushing against a row of equipment lockers, an aggressive action that completely crossed the line of professional decorum. Rushing, pushed to his absolute limit after catching 11 grueling innings, reacted instinctively, lunging forward and tackling Scott to the ground as a massive, chaotic fistfight erupted in the absolute center of the locker room. The physical clash between the rookie backstop and the veteran reliever threw the entire clubhouse into a state of absolute, unmitigated chaos, with uniforms tearing and heavy storage bins flipping over as the two men wrestled violently on the concrete floor. It took the combined physical strength of several star players, including veteran leaders and multiple bench coaches, to finally break the stranglehold and separate the combatants, dragging them to opposite corners of the complex while they continued to scream profanities at one another. The corporate response from the Dodgers front office was swift, severe, and sent an immediate, chilling message to every single player on the active roster regarding the absolute intolerance for internal violence. Within 30 minutes of the final punch being thrown, General Manager Brandon Gomez and the executive staff finalized an emergency roster movement, officially announcing to the media that Tanner Scott was being immediately designated for assignment and sent down to the minor leagues effective instantly. This sudden demotion was not merely a punishment for blowing a critical 3-run lead, but a definitive administrative strike designed to excise a toxic presence from the clubhouse before it could permanently compromise the team's championship culture. Scott was ordered to pack his bags and vacate the stadium premises immediately, banned from traveling with the team for the upcoming road trip, and faced with massive internal financial fines that totaled hundreds of thousands of dollars. With Scott officially removed from the building, a defiant Dalton Rushing refused to hide behind standard corporate public relations cliches, choosing instead to speak frankly to sports reporters and expose the shocking, underlying cause of the brawl that had actually originated in the 10th inning. Rushing revealed that the tension between himself and Scott was not a sudden burst of anger from the 11th inning walk-off, but rather the result of a deliberate, systemic breakdown in competitive integrity that occurred during the high-leverage moments of the 10th frame. According to Rushing's detailed exposure of the incident, Scott had grown deeply insecure about his recent drop in pitch velocity and had become completely obsessed with trying to trick the opposing team using unauthorized, illicit grip substances in the bullpen prior to his insertion into the game. In the 10th inning, while sitting on the dugout bench, Rushing noticed that Scott was covertly applying a sticky chemical compound to his fingers, a clear violation of league rules that could have resulted in an immediate multi-game suspension for the pitcher and a massive cheating scandal for the entire franchise. Rushing stated that he immediately confronted Scott in the tunnel during the 10th inning, demanding that he wash his hands and play the game with complete honesty, warning him that the umpires were actively monitoring equipment compliance throughout the series. Scott reportedly became deeply resentful of the rookie catcher's moral intervention, accusing Rushing of trying to sabotage his career and undermine his confidence, which directly caused Scott to purposefully ignore every single pitch call during the subsequent inning out of pure spite. He was more worried about getting caught with illegal substances than he was about hitting his spots, Rushing stated with absolute candor, exposing a level of internal selfishness that completely validated management's decision to banish the pitcher to the minors. As the sports world grapples with the explosive details of this locker room mutiny, a completely separate and profoundly inspiring storyline has captured the headlines, focusing on the hidden interactions that took place on the bench between Rushing and global icon Shohei Ohtani. Cameras from the national broadcast had captured a brief, intense moment during the tense moments of the late innings where Ohtani walked over to a visibly stressed Dalton Rushing, placing a hand on the young catcher's shoulder and speaking to him with an expression of absolute seriousness. Internal clubhouse sources have now leaked the exact words of Ohtani's dugout speech, revealing a masterclass in leadership that completely altered the trajectory of Rushing's mindset right before his historic walk-off hit. Ohtani, who had earlier in the game carried the offense by driving in 4 crucial runs and blasting his spectacular 299th career Major League home run, recognized that the rookie catcher was on the verge of emotional exhaustion from his private arguments with Scott. Ohtani looked directly into Rushing's eyes and told him to let go of the anger, to forget about the selfishness of the pitcher, and to focus entirely on the millions of fans who were relying on them to win the game. Do not let his weakness become your distraction, Ohtani told Rushing through his interpreter, delivering a powerful psychological shield that re-centered the rookie's focus. The game is giving you the opportunity to decide our destiny. So step up to the plate with a clean mind and show the world what a real champion looks like. Those compelling, definitive words from the greatest player of this generation acted as an instant catalyst, wiping away Rushing's frustration and imbuing him with the absolute confidence required to deliver the game-winning hit just moments later. The lingering fallout from this unprecedented night of high drama has left the Los Angeles Dodgers standing at a critical crossroad in their 2026 campaign, balancing the euphoria of being the first team in the majors to reach 60 wins against the terrifying reality of a fractured clubhouse. Manager Dave Roberts appeared at the post-game press conference looking visibly exhausted, his face lined with deep stress as he attempted to redirect the media's focus toward the team's incredible resilience on the field, while acknowledging that internal disciplinary matters were being handled with the utmost severity. The league office has already announced that it has launched a comprehensive review of the locker room altercation, requesting all stadium security footage and interviewing multiple witnesses to determine if further multi-game suspensions will be handed down to Rushing or other members of the roster who were involved in the scuffle. Meanwhile, the players themselves remain deeply reflective, with many expressing immense gratitude for the steady, unshakable leadership of Shohei Ohtani, whose ability to maintain absolute focus in the middle of a swirling hurricane of controversy has once again saved the franchise from a total psychological collapse. The sudden removal of Tanner Scott has created an immediate vacancy in the bullpen that the front office must quickly address through an aggressive trade or a minor league call-up, adding further logistical pressure to a management staff that is already operating under an intense global spotlight. This spectacular saga serves as a stark, unforgettable reminder that the path to a Major League Baseball championship is never purely about statistical talent or expensive rosters, but is an ongoing, daily battle to maintain internal discipline, mutual respect, and absolute focus under the most grueling psychological conditions. The Dodgers have proven that they possess the on-field talent to overcome any obstacle, but their ultimate success this season will depend entirely on their ability to heal these deep locker room wounds, unify behind the legendary leadership of veterans like Ohtani, and ensure that personal egos are never again allowed to compromise the collective mission of the team. What do you think about this absolute explosion inside the Los Angeles Dodgers clubhouse? Was Dalton Rushing right to physically confront Tanner Scott over his refusal to follow the team's strategic game plan? Or did the rookie catcher cross a line by starting a fistfight inside the private locker room? How do you feel about the front office's immediate decision to banish Scott to the minor leagues? And do you believe this sudden demotion will successfully restore peace and integrity to the roster? And what is your reaction to the incredible behind-the-scenes dugout words that Shohei Ohtani delivered to Rushing to inspire his historic 11th inning walk-off hit? Please add some massive excitement to the discussion in the comments section below. Let us know your deep theories on how this crisis will alter the team's chase for the 2026 World Series championship. And if you want to stay completely ahead of the curve with the absolute latest breaking news, exclusive player testimonies, and explosive sports updates, please subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a big like on this video. Thank you so much for watching. Keep the passion alive, and we will see you in the next dramatic update.